We at REBA released the fourth of the Transforming Engagement series in June 2022, and we're producing the series of reports in association with Mercer Marsh Benefits. In this fourth report, we explore how business sustainability is influencing reward and benefit practices and decisions. If you'd like a copy of the full report, packed full of data and insight, you will find a link to it at the end of this video. And the data in this new research demonstrates the huge shifts that are taking place in business practices, in products, in services, as so many organizations work to become more sustainable. And we believe that this huge revolution in the way business is conducted is going to have a major impact on CHROs, on their HR teams, including the benefits and reward teams. To discuss this impact, I'm joined today by Nick McMenemy, UK and Ireland consulting leader at Mercer Marsh Benefits. And we're going to chat about how reward and benefit professionals are becoming fundamental to realizing major organizational aspirations for change and how they can choose to react. Are they going to be just reactive, or are they going to be proactive in this space? If while watching this video, you'd like to jump ahead to specific topics in our discussion, you can see the chapters on screen now. Or if you're watching this via YouTube, you can click on the video timeline below to access a particular section. Nick, I'd like to start off today by defining what we mean when we talk about business sustainability and why it's becoming so relevant to reward and benefits people.
Sure, thanks, Debbie. As with all these things, it's quite difficult to pin down a singular definition. But why don't we start with business sustainability being about delivering long-lasting growth without adversely impacting other parties such as society, the environment, the economy.
That sounds like a really good place. Nice and simple, easy for people watching this video to get on the same page as the two of us. And that plays in quite clearly into my next question. The research shows that the vast majority, 80% of the respondents, work for organizations that have made changes to their business models or their products or their services in order to become more sustainable, exactly as you say, so they don't have a negative impact on society and so on. What we also found in the data is 80% are still doing this on an ongoing basis. Clearly, this is a project that's been happening for a number of years and continuing to happen. The stat that really jumped out at me is the fact that over a quarter, 27% of our respondents said that within the next 2 years, after all this hard work they've been doing for all these years, within the next 2 years, they would have changed all of their products and services to become sustainable. And this is an incredible revolution in the way that business is conducted. It's a complete sea change. So I'd be interested to get your views of where this puts reward and benefit professionals. Are you seeing that they're also having to change their strategies to become more sustainable?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that those individuals are fundamental in your introduction to the sustainability agenda. There's absolutely no doubt in the last 2 or 3 years that sustainability linked to ESG, environmental, social, and governance agendas has become completely central to where organizations are taking themselves. And they're trying to do it on a number of levels. They're trying to embed it into culture. They're trying to transform their organizations to deliver sustainability. That linked to that, they are, people sustainability plays a massive part of that can't be separated from things like organizational design or product design. And then there are the investments that organizations make in capital, in premises, in talent, in financial instruments. Are they sustainable as well? So it isn't. There is no one singular aspect to the sustainability agenda. And if you then overlay things like purpose and culture, the standards and quality of work, the standards and quality of organizational supply chains, it grows into a massive kind of ethos that winds its way through all organizations at the moment.
So have you seen reward and benefit people actually change their benefit strategies, or is it more that they're doing something in terms of the benefits offerings that's supporting sustainable behaviours? Where's the emphasis at the moment, and what's the direction of travel?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And there's an interesting stat to kind of back up what I'm about to say. When we did some research around the stakeholders that are driving ESG and sustainability, 86% of those respondents said that employees were driving it, and 83% said their customers were driving it. So there's an internal and external stakeholder group that are driving the sustainability agenda. So I think it's a combination for reward and benefits professionals. I think it's an evolution of their existing strategies. So organizations will have begun to go down this route already, as we've seen from the 80% that are already changing the way that their organizations work. But for some organizations, it will be a transformational strategy that affects HR, reward, design, and the design and delivery of benefits. So just take a couple of examples in there. The future of work. Where are people working? How flexible are their working hours? What are their patterns in terms of the number of days that they work, and what impact does that have on the design of their incentives and their remuneration? We've already seen a high-profile organisation in the last week say, yes, you can work from home full time, but actually that comes with a decision to make around how you're remunerated. That for me was really interesting. For reward professionals, how are the C-suite incentivized to deliver sustainability? Is it strategic goals? Is it how they have a balanced scorecard for their senior leadership team? And then there's another conversation that has to be had: is sustainability delivered by the sustainability department, or is it actually something that everybody in those organizations are responsible for? In which case, their reward and benefits needs to reflect that that's an additional goal, an additional part of their deliverables that has to be tracked. If you think about if this is a transformational thing for organizations, the kind of talent that is attracted and developed and retained has a massive impact on the design of reward programs and incentive programs and benefit programs. So we're literally scratching the surface here, just in a few seconds, but I think that you can't separate both the strategy and both the day-to-day deliverables that an organization needs to go through to deliver sustainability.
And that leads me very neatly on to the next question I wanted to discuss with you, is that pressure then that's sitting on the reward and benefits team, because it feels like they are very much in the middle of that pressure to become more sustainable, but to drive sustainability within organizations. They are being asked by employees and their boards of directors, and you've mentioned sustainability teams, about their benefits that they have on offer, how they're on offer, how they buy them, the pension practices, how these are linked to environmental, social, governance goals, ESG goals, how these are linked to diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI goals, other sustainable practices. And we saw this coming through really strongly in the first 3 reports in the series that we published last year about that big overarching board level CEO pressure coming onto HR benefits teams. So how are you seeing this play out, Nick? What kind of pressures are you seeing the clients that you work with in reward and benefits? What pressure are you seeing that they're under? And how are they trying to meet the needs of all sides while still spinning the plates of their day-to-day jobs?
You paint quite a challenging picture for our reward and benefit colleagues, and I agree. I think HR in general, in particular reward and benefits, has been thrown into the spotlight, really in the last two or 3 years, with the emergence of ESG as a top priority for CEOs, the emergence of sustainability as part of the ESG agenda. But then if you think about societal trends, for example, the global pandemic, if you think about things like Black Lives Matter, suddenly the people agenda and the people sustainability agenda is right at the top. If you then combine that with the rapid communication that social media brings and kind of the level of transparency about organizational reputation and how people are being treated either as customers or as employees, I think this creates huge pressures on HR reward benefits professionals. If you like, all eyes are on them at the moment in terms of the future of businesses, and CEOs are looking to HR reward people for insights and for strategies and for solutions and for how they're taking the organization forward from a sustainability perspective. If you look at the tensions between the whole return to work agenda, how do we balance the needs of the organization where productivity and delivery and networking is important versus the very personal needs of employees about how they readjust again to going back to the office on a hybrid basis or full time when they've been working from home for the last 2. So that's just one tension, but a huge one. What are competitors doing? Are competitors stealing a march because they've got the perception of a more flexible, work-life balance? Thinking about the sustainability of office environments or travel to work, there's a real tension there about, yes, we'd love you back in the office, but actually the office has a carbon footprint, and so does the train or the car that you take to get there. So there's all those issues. There's you might have the C-suite with hugely ambitious sustainability goals, but the delivery of those on a day-to-day basis from senior leaders and from employees relies really heavily on how organizations are designed, teams are motivated, incentivized. So, again, we're scratching the surface, but there are so many things going on in the world of reward and benefits right now that firstly, I think it's super exciting for those individuals, but I also don't envy them because there's a lot going on.
I just, at this point, Nick, I doubt anybody's got the answer. It is moving on a day-to-day basis, and even those CEOs don't have the answers, which is why they're relying on their teams like HR and reward and benefits for what they can bring to the table at the same time. But one of the areas that they could potentially be looking to is external help. The suppliers, the advisors, the consultants who are out there. But is that feasible? Clearly yourselves are very involved in pushing this that fact that you're very focused on this. But generally in the market, do you think employers can rely on their suppliers to help them with their strategies, the products, the services that will allow them to be more sustainable? What's the supplier market like at the moment?
Yeah, and I think, again, supplier organizations will be working their way through their own sustainability agendas as well in terms of how they design and deliver and distribute products. We've seen a massive amount of innovation in the supplier market, in the insurer market, looking at things like benefit design, particularly benefit design and access for underrepresented groups of employees, for example. Are benefits accessible? Are they relevant? Have they been designed to take in the specific health and well-being needs of certain underrepresented groups? So that's a massive piece on the ESG and sustainability agenda. I think that our clients are looking for their suppliers, be it insurers or consultants, to kind of interpret some of the key messaging around sustainability. What is out there? What are the solutions? Where should I be going with this? If you look at some of the really interesting new trends in benefit design, so things like gender dysmorphia or neurodiversity or mental health, we've seen massively increase over the last 2 years. The delivery of solutions around COVID and long COVID, the impact on the NHS of extended waiting lists. These are areas where non-state solutions are filling the gap. So the solutions that the suppliers and third parties are coming up with will be vital to helping reward and benefit professionals that deliver on that sustainability agenda. The other, particularly for larger or global orgs, if you think about, they're being squeezed. So at one level, they might have global principles about how ESG and sustainability is delivered. They'll also have global minimum standards, and probably the local countries are in the middle, being squeezed by those two global points of view. And so another way suppliers and third parties can help is just helping them navigate that squeeze and working out what locally what a business division or a country needs to do.
And linked to that, particularly a big organisation, but pretty much all of them will be putting their RFPs together. Are you seeing that employers are starting to ask more about the suppliers and consultants' own sustainability goals and targets? Is that on the rise of checking out just how sustainable people, how sustainable Mercer Marsh Benefits might be in itself?
It really is, and on a number of levels. So if you think back a few years, you would have seen the emergence of questions around corporate social responsibility in RFPs. That's now moved on to fully fledged ESG, and now we're seeing sustainability. So when an RFP is put together, how sustainable is that supplier's supply chain? Is our business going to be interrupted because your supply chain isn't sustainable? Is the organisation that's responding to the RFP, does it have a sustainable people strategy? Has it got the right talent in the right place at the right time? Are they engaged? Are they rewarded sufficiently? Do they have the right benefits? So yes, the short answer is absolutely. We're seeing increasing number of questions and it moving almost into hygiene factors rather than as a nice to have response in an RFP.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for those who aren't doing it yet, this is what's coming down the line, and you're going to be having to answer these yourselves as well as on your suppliers, because the supply chain has just become so crucial. I can't believe the time has just flown by, Nick. I think we've got to the end of our chat discussion, as you kept saying, we are just scratching the surface here. It's such an enormous topic, but it's been fascinating to explore just some of the shifts that we are seeing due to this unremitting drive towards sustainability, driven by those changes in business, and to pick through some of the why behind the data in our fourth report of our joint REBA Mercer Marsh Benefits report on transforming engagement. I just want to remind everybody who's watching the video that the link will appear at the very end. But in the meantime, thanks so much, Nick, for your time today, and thank you to everybody who joined us.
Pleasure, Debbie. Thank you.